How's it going, everybody? Jesse here with RedefineFX, and today I will show you how to make this real-time smoke simulation with Niagara Fluids in Unreal Engine. This is a beginner-friendly tutorial that you can follow even if you've never used Niagara before. If you'd like to learn Niagara from the ground up, I just released a completely free Niagara Fluids crash course remade in Unreal Engine 5.7. We cover all of these effects that you're seeing right now. I will teach you how to create realistic fire, smoke, sparks, lightning, and much more. The course is available for a limited time, so make sure you get it at redefinefx.com/Witcher. The link is in the description below. Alright, first thing, go to Edit, Plugins, and enable the Niagara Fluids plugin. Then you can go to Mixamo and search for the Nightshade character and the flying animation. Make sure you check In Place, and then download, and then drag the animation sequence into the viewport, set the scale to 2, and then go up here, say add level sequence. I will call it SQ_ghost. Now drag the character into the sequencer, plus sign, and select the animation that comes with it. So now it should have the flying animation on it, and you can rotate it -40 degrees and just move it in place. Next, you can right-click and create a new Niagara system. Create empty system. Call it ns_smoke_ghost. Right-click, add minimal emitter, F2, and rename it Ghost. Under Properties, you want to make it a GPU sim with fixed bounds. And then under Emitter Update, we need to search for Spawn Rate module and set the spawn rate to 5,000 particles. Under Initialize Particle, we can set the sprite size mode to uniform. And again under Particle Spawn, plus sign, search for Repro, and you want the Initialize Mesh Reproduction Sprite. This will give birth to the particles on top of the character. So we can select the character and Control B to find it, and select the skeletal mesh asset. And then you can click on this arrow and this arrow to load the character in. But we need the particles to remain stuck to the character over time. So under Particle Update, again search for Repro, and we need the Update Mesh Reproduction Sprite. Again, arrow, arrow. Now you can drag the Niagara system into your scene, and we need the location to match the character. So select the character and copy the location, right-click, copy. Then select the Niagara system, location, paste. And then you can drag the Niagara system on top of the character and say none. And this will link them together. So now even when I play the animation, the particles remain stuck to the character. Next, we need to emit smoke out of this. So under Particle Update, search for Set Fluid Source Attributes module. Density here controls the amount of smoke. So I'll set that to 0.1. And then you can right-click, add emitter, and you need to search for Grid, 3D Gas Master Emitter, add. Then you can go to Emitter Summary, Source, Sphere Source, and disable the sphere source. And instead we want to enable this Use Emitter Source. And down here under Emitter Binding, just double-click and start typing Ghost, and select your Ghost emitter, and then click away for it to update. And here you go, we are emitting smoke out of the character. So under the Simulation tab, the world size controls the size of the simulation box. To keep this going, I will just give you my numbers. So I did 1200 by 1800 by 550. And the pivot point controls where the simulation origin is inside of the box. So for me, I did -0.44 on the Y, which you can see how that moves the character to the edge of the wall. And I did 0.6 on the Z. This just moves him closer to the ground. Next, we can increase the resolution of the simulation to 350 and the pressure solve iterations to 10, which improves the quality of the sim. Density buoyancy controls how heavy the smoke is, so I want it to be falling down. So I'll set this to a +3, and you can turn off the sprite renderer. And basically I want the grid to be sitting right on top of the ground. So you can just grab the Niagara system and move it down until it's just barely touching the ground, just like this. So it is working, but a lot of the smoke is getting killed because of the collisions with the character. So actually in this case, we can just go under Emitter Summary, Collisions, and turn off the use mesh collisions. I still need the smoke to collide with the ground, so under boundary, you can uncheck open boundary -Z, and this will treat the bottom of the simulator as a solid wall. So now when it updates, you will be able to see that the smoke just collides beautifully with the bottom of the simulator, so it looks like it's colliding with the ground. Next, we need to push the smoke to the left. So under forces, you can go to wind, enable calculate wind. And so this would be the -y axis. So on the x, it can be 0. On y, it'll be -1. And the wind magnitude, I did 70. So now it's being pushed to the back, but one key ingredient that it's missing is turbulence to break it up and get that nice detail. So we can go to turbulence 1 and enable calculate turbulence. For the turbulence frequency, you can control it on each axis individually, but I want to control it with just one number. So I'll click on the arrow and say vector from float. And so the higher this number, the smaller the noise. So actually I will set this to 0.01, which is a value that works pretty well for me in most cases. And now we need to increase the strength with the turbulence gain. Again, I will click on the arrow and say vector from float and set it to 400. So now the smoke is getting broken up with turbulence. And just to demonstrate how the frequency works, if I set the value to, let's say, 0.001, now I'm getting much bigger noise waves going through the smoke, right? So remember, the smaller the frequency, the bigger the noise. The higher the frequency, the smaller the noise. So I'll set it to 0.01 again, and we can change the turbulence speed, and we can increase the turbulence speed to 3. This is the rate at which the noise is changing, so it's not always the same. So now I'm looking at something like this, and we can hide the borders of the simulator under simulation, draw bounds. You can uncheck that. And to increase the realism even more, you can layer 2 turbulences on top of each other. So we can enable turbulence 2. And usually you would make one of the turbulences larger frequency than the other. So for this frequency, I will once again make it a vector from float and set it to 0.007, let's say. The noise will be a bit larger than the first one. I'll set the turbulence speed to 1. And the turbulence gain, again, vector from float. And I'll give it a smaller value, so maybe just 200 for this one. And so right now what's happening, you have some bigger turbulence waves on top of the smaller ones. And so you get some really nice random behavior in the smoke. Now I would like the smoke to dissipate a bit faster. So under simulation, dissipation rate density, you can increase this to 0.6. The higher this value, the faster the smoke disappears. So now most of the smoke dissipates before it reaches the end of the simulator, which is what I was after. So now you may want to give the character an invisible material. So you can right click, make a new material, call it m_ghost invisible, and you want to make the blend mode translucent. However, we want the eyes to glow. So you can grab this nightshade glow texture that comes with the character and just drag it into the material. Connect it to opacity, and for the emissive color, I want to be able to control how emissive it is. So I'll hold M and create a multiply node, connect it to the A, and the result to the emissive color. And for the B, I'll hold 1, right click, convert to parameter, and call it emissive boost, and connect that to the B, save. And you can right click on the material and say create material instance and apply that material instance to the character. You might have to move on the timeline a bit for the animation to reset. And then inside the material instance, you can enable emissive boost and just start increasing it. It's making those emissive parts glow stronger. So here you go. I went pretty quickly over some of these settings. So if you'd like to take a deeper dive into how Niagara works, how all these modules work, and all of these settings inside of Niagara Fluids, all of that is covered inside of the free Niagara Fluids crash course, which I just released. The free course contains 20 videos and 7 complete VFX shots where we cover detailed fire, smoke, sparks, electricity, all of these effects that you're seeing right now. It's completely beginner friendly. So if you'd like to continue learning Niagara with me, make sure you grab it at RedefineFX.com/Witcher while it's still available. The link is in the description. And with that, thanks for watching. I hope that you learned a lot. We covered the basics of Niagara and Niagara Fluids, went over how to emit smoke, how to add some turbulence for increased realism. So if you found this helpful, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.